And just like that, there was sound. Hello, and welcome to today's video. My name is Ichabod Latuche, and today's video is about free will, or the illusion of such. That being said, to preface and to start the rest of the video, I am of the philosophical school of thought that there is no such thing as conscious thought. And that's not to say that there aren't thoughts that appear in consciousness, but they're simply that, appearances in consciousness. So you may be wondering, if I don't have conscious thought, then how did I choose to watch this video? How am I processing the information that's coming in? And essentially, the idea here is that any of the information that you're experiencing and consciousness is just an appearance, such as any other data, so that there's a buffer that happens before it appears. It's kind of like having your monitor and your speakers, headphones, etc., and that the actual information is being processed behind the scenes somewhere on the computer and then being displayed to you. And unless there's proper data associated with said imagery and said sounds, nothing's going to come out. The idea with this, then, as far as how that works with consciousness, would be that your brain is constantly processing stuff at a subconscious or unconscious level. So there's all this stuff happening that you're unaware of, and then once there's something that gets close enough to the surface and is able to cling on to some previous sense data, be it the sound of speech, imagery, emotion, anything else, it takes that information and pops up into consciousness. That being said, it's not to say that there is no sense of agency or will at all. In fact, it's more so to say that we as a human animal are going to process however we're going to process the stuff, regardless of how we thought about it consciously. And that the appearance itself is, again, just an appearance there. So you may be having thoughts about it, but you didn't really choose to have those thoughts about it. A lot of people get hung up on that because they end up identifying with the thoughts, the sense of immediacy that's there, and the sense of the choice with that. When realistically, you didn't even choose to pay attention. Like, you didn't choose to hear the snap there, or any of that. Realistically, the sense data hits your ear, gets processed in through the brain, and then appears in consciousness. And some of it gets stored as a memory, and eventually some of that gets propagated back in, and you have some thoughts about what am I going to do maybe tomorrow, or what about how am I going to feel about this thing. Next thing you know, your brain starts piecing together a song or something that's stuck in there, and it, boom, puts up some of the sense data. That being said, one of the more interesting analogies you can sit with then with this, as far as putting this into practice and noticing it with meditating, is thinking about consciousness and thoughts and such as an ocean. The idea here being that anything that you see, anything that you hear, any thoughts that arise, or anything else are just waves. So they in and of themselves can be noticed as objects, but they're not truly separate from the ocean. In fact, the waves are appearing on the surface of the ocean, but they are inseparable from the ocean and made up from the ocean itself. It's kind of like that Buzz Lightyear meme where it's like, this floor is made of floor. Except for in this case, it's this consciousness is made of consciousness. So, yeah. Notice that too then as well. One other thing to kind of note with that is that a lot of times you would sit there and think, well, I chose this thing because I thought this way about it. When realistically, a lot of cases, it's your brain's processing all this stuff and chooses for some emotional reason behind the scenes. It swells up to a choice, and then bam, the choice happens. That appears in consciousness, and then you rationalize it. And all that rationalization are also just thoughts that happen to appear in consciousness. When you break it down and you think about the pure experiential data, you may even notice that it's all happening in the same space. Your pinky toe, the sensations of tingling and warmth, the sounds you're hearing, the sights you're seeing, the thoughts you're having, any emotions that arise with that are actually all happening in the exact same spot. That is this boundless, seamless space that is consciousness, made of consciousness, brought to you by consciousness. That being said, just sit back and notice. I'd say pay attention, but realistically, it's not even paying attention. It's just ceasing to be distracted by other things. Hopefully, you may find this useful. Y'all know how the buttons work. If you so choose to press any of them, be my guest. My name is Ikeberg Latuche. Thank you, and as always, tell your friends.